right. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. We're gonna be getting into the Keefe D trial, the murder trial of the century. Um, this is day 2, and then we had a lot of testimony today. They showed the autopsy report and the pictures, and they brought in the person who the coroner or the person that does the autopsy once the body is dead, probably a coroner or yeah. And they brought in the leader of the gang, Paru gang, the head of security. That's what he called himself. First of all, he was very, very funny. Okay. And then they brought in Reggie Wright as well. They brought in a few people today. So I'm going to go over Law and Crime because they like summed it up and clipped it up because it's very long, guys. It'd be long watching this trial all day long. It's very long. Okay. So I'm just going to find videos, the people that clipped it up. And then I might go into Court TV and show you the video of the guy if they don't show that because I have to get with him because he's funny. So with that being said, I'm not going to do any introductions. I'm just going to get right into it, okay? Because this is my Law and Crime edition of In the Shade with Queena. I would call it In the Shadow with Queena, but I'm going to stick with In the Shade for now, okay? So that's what we're doing right now.
And on day 2 of this highly anticipated murder trial against Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, jurors saw.
Ooh, sorry.
Tupac Shakur was shot multiple times. And on day 2 of this highly anticipated murder trial against Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, jurors saw exactly what those bullets did to the superstar rapper.
He died of gunshot wounds of chest and abdomen.
As witnesses took the stand and described the gunshots and what they saw in the moments after, the defense argued that after almost 30 years, the investigation itself may be the prosecution's biggest problem.
And we just suddenly heard a lot of gunfire.
Somewhere between 9 and 15 shots in a series.
Something like that.
That suggests to you that the weapon was a Glock 40.
That's correct.
Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
Okay. Oops, sorry. Let's go right
or
here.
Who we know, or who.
Sorry.
Of the Dwayne.
Okay, so shout out to Sidebar with Jesse Weber. Okay, we're going to listen to him because he's very good at summing this all up, and he's very good at basically showing what happened today. Okay, on day 2. So day 1, I went through the trial a little bit. It was kind of off and on, I was explaining some things, but at the end of the day, I'm going to explain things with Jesse Weber as well in my own context, okay? Because I'm just basically, this is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and I'm just basically doing a reaction to what he's saying, but reacting on my own to some clips that whatever he shows.
Keefe D. Davis trial out in Las Vegas, the only person ever charged with the murder of Tupac Shakur, who we know was gunned down out in Las Vegas in 1996. Now, yesterday was the opening statements. It was day 1 of the trial. It was the beginning of witness testimony. The prosecution alleges that Davis orchestrated the killing of Tupac Shakur, that it was because Shakur and others allegedly beat up his nephew, Orlando Anderson, earlier in the night at the MGM Grand. They plan to use Davis's own alleged statements over the years in media interviews, a memoir, law enforcement interviews, statements that the prosecution claims Davis admitted to his involvement. Now, the defense argues those statements were exaggerations, that you can't believe what Davis said, that there is nothing to corroborate that he was telling the truth about his alleged involvement in what happened with Tupac. With all that in mind, now we go to day 2. So the prosecution began today by calling Dr. Lisa Gavin, a forensic pathologist and medical examiner for...
Yeah, she was a medical examiner. She came up and explained all these pictures of Tupac. He was bloated, everything. They didn't show him on the camera, but you can tell that by them just talking that they were disturbing.
Clark County. Now, she wasn't the original doctor who performed Tupac's autopsy. That doctor has since passed away, but she reviewed the records, the photographs, the medical reports from 1996, and she formed her own conclusions about what happened to Tupac Shakur. Notably, we learned that as she began to walk the jury through the autopsy photos, several members of Tupac's family got up and left the courtroom. Not surprising when you consider what's going on the screen. But Dr. Gavin continued that this is what she told the jury about how Tupac died.
Most people have no idea they can get ready to post content the minute they stop recording with Riverside.
Okay, so
After
yeah, this is the woman right here. She was sat there and explained her ass off on that.
reviewing all of those records, do you have an opinion as to the cause of death of Mr. Shakur?
Yes.
And what is that?
He died of gunshot wounds of chest and abdomen.
And do you have an opinion as to the manner of death?
Yes.
And what is that?
Homicide.
When a medical examiner uses the term homicide, what does that mean?
The simplest form is death at the hands of another.
Now, to be clear, evidence like this doesn't necessarily directly implicate Davis, right? But prosecutors, they have to build a case from the ground up. They have to build it element by element.
Yes, they have to make sure that they know that this was murder, that he been murdered, because he died several days later, if you think about it. And they come say, oh, well, maybe they messed up at the hospital or they did something and, you know, it was malpractice or something like that. No, he got, he succumbed to his injuries from the gunshot wounds and where they landed.
So at the very least, they have to establish that Tupac Shakur was in fact shot and killed, that he was murdered, that it was an intentional killing. That is what this evidence goes to. Now, Dr. Gavin then walked the jury through each wound, starting with the chest. The bullet had apparently entered near his armpit, traveled across his right lung, and lodged near his collarbone.
Yes, she explained that, and that was like, oh, like it took me back, because I'm like, damn, he survived that, and he tried to survive it. He did. He wanted to live.
Lung collapsed, filled with 2 liters of blood. Doctors removed the lung, trying to save him. And here's how she described it.
This is the right side of the body up by the chest area. You can see the right axilla or armpit in that region. And then you could see some of the sutures of what they call a thoracotomy incision, where they've cut into the side of the chest. And then just below that, this is an entrance gunshot wound.
And then just below that thoracotomy chest, there appears to be a stitched up area. I can move my mouse too, right there. What is that?
That's a sutured chest tube site.
So he had a tube there to help drain someone.
So he was on life support, basically. You know, he was on life support.
What was going on in his body?
Correct. And in the previous one that had all the medical intervention, you could see from the left side, there was a similar chest tube on that left side.
From your review, were you able to determine sort of the path of this particular bullet?
Yes.
And what was that?
It entered here in the right lateral aspect of the chest, just below the axilla, the armpit, and then went across the right chest space, went across the right lung, and then ended up coming to rest in what we call the sternal notch. The sternal notch is a location just between where your collarbones kind of meet up towards the center of your chest. So just beneath that, the projectile was recovered.
The nature of that type of wound, what did it physically do to him, his ability to breathe and those types of things?
The injury to the lung would have collapsed the lung and also caused the lung to bleed. And so it was documented within the medical records that he had about 2 liters of blood in his chest cavity when they put in the chest tube to try to save him. And similarly,
This is devastating and excruciating. I mean, could you imagine, like,
ended up removing that lung to try to save him and kind of clamp off the bleeding. And then it already had multiple episodes of not becoming responsive. So he wasn't able to breathe. He was bleeding out in that area from that injury.
Okay, by the way, you know how we always talk about the date?
okay, so let me I'm gonna scroll past with sorry, bro, but I'm trying to get it past that.
The second bullet that entered his right thigh and traveled up to his abdomen, that projectile was actually recovered. Take a listen.
This is the right lateral aspect of his body, so his right flank and his lateral aspect of his right thigh.
And
then his backside of his right hand is also within this picture.
the ruler, though, is identifying what?
The ruler is around the right lateral aspect of his thigh, so the right thigh on the lateral side.
And what is that?
And that's an entrance gunshot wound.
And can you tell me the path that bullet took?
Yes.
And go ahead.
That bullet entered in the lateral aspect of the right thigh and then went upwards into the abdomen and damaged his intestines. They ended up operating there and removed a portion of his intestines. And then during that surgery, they recovered another projectile.
Damn. They was recovering a whole bunch of projectiles.
Dr. Gavin, as I said, she wasn't the original ME. That was Dr. Jordan, and he has since passed away. Okay, now we go to questioning by the defense.
Okay, yeah, and I got it wrong. She wasn't the coroner; she's a medical examiner, and she didn't work on this trial. She kind of looked like she's a little bit younger, not young like that, but like young enough to not have been around 30 years ago. She might have been a kid.
So on cross-examination, defense attorney Michael Sampt pressed her on this, that she was relying on records that were decades old, photos that were taken with Polaroid cameras, a record she didn't keep herself. So to me, this is consistent with the defense's argument, which we heard in an opening statement yesterday, that this whole investigation was sloppy, that it was botched, that it was incomplete, that you're talking about a case almost 30 years old. So trying to raise reasonable doubt, trying to raise questions about the reliability of the prosecution's case, the investigative work. And if jurors are perhaps hesitant about one aspect of the prosecution's case or the investigation, perhaps they will not believe the whole case, the whole theory, the whole narrative. Maybe they'll question it.
No. These people, I'm gonna say this. This case is being presented very well by that prosecution. Okay, they ain't playing. They crossed their T's and dotted their I's. What I have seen so far. Now it can go down the drain at any given moment, but what I've seen so far, Keefe, he's in a world of trouble.
But the prosecution pushed back on redirect. Take a look.
Your testimony here today revolves really around your view of the record that was laid out 30 years ago.
Yes, that's correct.
And so I have fair to say, of course, that keeping records would be very important in your line of work.
Yes.
In the event that in the future, something that you do while you're on vacation somewhere in the Bahamas could be testified to by another doctor.
That's correct.
Now, with regards to the records that you saw here, Dr. Jordan? Was there anything missing in your review of those records in terms of record keeping or anything like that?
No, but we only took a few photos at the time of autopsy. At that time, they used Polaroids or they used film and cameras. And so we had few photos of the body itself. And so consequently, the crime scene analyst photos were helpful for being able to come to determination in addition to the reports.
Man, Mr. Stamps suggested, and I just want to make it clear, you're not regurgitating Dr. Jordan's opinions. You formulated your own opinions as the cause and manner of death.
That is correct.
So as I talked about this initial
Okay, so they can say, that's not what he said. The original person who done the autopsy, but at the end of the day, it all leads to a homicide.
alleged altercation at the MGM. After this alleged beating at this hotel, police responded to the scene. But the man who was apparently attacked, Orlando Anderson, Keefe D's nephew, seemingly didn't want to cooperate.
Hey.
Yes, they also let me let this go. They also did not. He didn't keep the guy. Wait a minute. Let's go.
Here's what he told the jury.
Okay, so yeah, before he goes on, he told the guy that's he's deceased now. He was supposed to be the nephew of KVD. He got jumped at the he fought. He got beat up at the fight. Okay, and when they pulled him to the side and said what happened and who did it and blah blah blah, he didn't want to cooperate. That's all I have.
About his interaction with Anderson.
I asked him first if he needed medical assistance, and he refused. He said he was fine. I then asked him what happened, and he told me basically that a couple of guys that he didn't know jumped him. And once again, I asked him if he needed medical. He said no. I asked if he wanted to file a report, and he said no.
At that point, was he released and free to go on his way?
Yes, he was.
Later on that evening, did you learn about a shooting involving Tupac Shakur?
Yes, I did.
And then were you asked to then draft a report as to what your interaction was with Mr. Anderson?
Yes, I was.
And at that time, what name did you remember for Mr. Anderson?
It was Orlando. I remember his first name.
Is it anything unusual that when a victim gets attacked and doesn't want to press charges or write a report, for you not to have written a report that night?
No, it's not. Basically, if you don't have a victim, you don't have a crime, as we put it, which isn't necessarily true. You always have a crime. But if you don't have a victim, the chances of prosecution, you won't get any information, and so we don't take a report if the victim refuses.
I would imagine the argument would be from the prosecution, Anderson didn't want authorities to get involved, right? Because he and co would want to take care of it themselves, that they would want to go out.
Right, exactly. So the reason why he didn't want any medical attention, because they planned on getting them that night anyway. Look, they knew where they was going. They knew they were going to that 626 club or something like that. If I got it wrong, I'm sorry. It's something similar to that. And the 626 club standed for what, Peru or something? I don't know, something that got to do with a gang affiliation. Okay. Their security is going to speak today. That's going to be very alarming.
After Tupac Shakur. I wonder if that's the significance of this. We'll see. Now let's go to cross-examination by the defense. The defense did press him on one thing, his report. Now Rios admitted he didn't write it immediately after the fight and didn't know if anyone requested more surveillance video that night. So the defense's point again, does this prove a sloppy investigation?
And so the state had asked you a question specifically as to when you wrote your report. You wrote it after you got off of this particular shift. Is that when you wrote your report?
I don't recall when I wrote it, but I'm sure that my officer's report would reflect that time. But I know I didn't write it immediately after.
All right. And in terms of your knowledge that Tupac Shakur had just been shot, your testimony to the jury is that you had understood at that point that potentially a person by the name of Orlando may have been something to do with that particular case.
I don't recall if that was the reason why I wrote the report, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, because I'm a little curious. Like, how do you,
So apparently he's pressing them on the report. And yeah, I would have pressed them too, because if you didn't make an initial report at the time, then you might be missing some information that you could have got early on, or you could have prevented this whole situation. Actually, if you had pressed it and knew, whatever, if he knew who did something to him. But in those days, nobody would tell if somebody did something anyway. It just was the way it was. Okay. They're gang affiliation individuals, and they're not going about to tell nothing.
There's a shooting of Tupac Shakur. Is it because you heard that there's a shooting up at Tupac Shakur? They go, wait a minute, there was an incident that occurred with Tupac on property. Is that how we get to this point?
Back then, I don't recall if that was the process that I went through to make the report. I don't believe so. I believe that there was some other officers that probably told me and suggested that I write a report because of his possible involvement.
Right. So news goes out throughout the valley. Tupac has been shot. And then you're advised, hey, there was something happening with Tupac. Just capture whatever it is that you remember. Right.
A random IT guy once told me that.
Okay, so he just, he probably was unaware that the situation with Tupac.
The scariest thing about Max.
He was probably unaware that the situation with Tupac.
I don't recall.
With the lobby, he didn't know that at that time that them two were connected.
In terms of your report and you writing it, you're still on property when you hear that this incident had occurred with Tupac Shakur.
I don't recall where I was at the time.
Okay. Would you have ever called back to the MJ and say, hey, capture more video of, this particular incident and the guy with the Merino jersey, the night of the shooting, to help them with whatever investigation could be out there? Did you do that?
Not that I recall, no.
Do you know of anyone else among the 3 officers that were there, or any other officers would have done something like that?
I have no idea.
Okay. Maybe they're all Bears fans, and that's the reason why they didn't do that.
It could be.
Yep.
Now, the prosecution called the man who was working
Okay, so I'm going to
security at the Maxim Hotel that night. It was right at the corner of Flamingo and Koval. William Heidemeyer. He was on the 3rd floor of the parking garage when he apparently heard something that stopped him cold. Listen to this.
2 Metro officers with me, and we were looking for stolen vehicles. There were 5 or 6 Dodge Caravans that were stolen out of our parking garage that night.
And where were you located when something unusual did happen?
Well, I was on the ramp of the 3rd floor of the parking garage on the southeast side of the property.
And while you were there, describe what you hear.
Well, the 2 officers, another security officer, and I were standing around one Dodge Caravan, and we just suddenly heard a lot of gunfire. And we ran to the barrier wall that was overlooking Koval Boulevard, not Koval, Flamingo Boulevard. And
okay, so they went over, the scenery and all that and all that, but I don't think on this one they have what I want you guys to actually see. Okay, so I'm just going to go right into the trial. Okay, I'm gonna stop this, and then I'm going to go right into the trial, the actual trial, which is usually what I do. But at the end of the day, I didn't do the whole trial with you guys today because I watched it on my own, because it's just too much to be able to sit here all day at a desk. I'm not. Oh God. Let me edit this. Okay, let's go right into the trial. I'm not going to go over the whole trial. It's not going to be hours and hours and years today. It's just going to go. I'm just going to go over what I feel like is important that I want to talk about, because what's interesting to me. All of this is interesting. If you want to watch it, you can go on over to Court TV. They have the whole situation going on over there. You can watch the whole trial. You probably may, if you did already watch it, then you know what I'm talking about. Also, yeah, I'm just gonna go over. You know what I'm talking about. Like I'm gonna skip past a lot.
Whoa.
What's that?
I just built a budgeting app with Base 44.
Guys, Nina just built an app.
Impossible. Nina can't.
So I'm trying to get to where I want to get to. Okay, right here is about where I would like to get to. Okay, we're gonna watch this part, and this is going to be very interesting. And I can be able to do commentary on this because it's just that interesting. Okay, and I'm going to make it full screen for you guys. So what we're about to see is the leader of the Peru. I'm not saying a leader, but the leader of the security. So he said, okay, they made up their own security. This was their security of the gang affiliated security. And this was 30 years ago, y'all. So when y'all see this man, y'all gonna be like, damn.
How'd you?
Case in chief. State, who's your next witness?
James McDonald?
McDonald or McConnell? McDonald.
Now, this was my favorite part today, okay? This is why I'm going to present it to you guys because, yeah, this was the best part. Him and Reggie land on the stand. I feel like what they're trying to establish with this witness, I'll let him talk, but I guess I'll tell you at the end or in between what they're trying to establish. I think what they're trying to establish, because it did seem incriminating, but this is a prosecution witness, so they're trying to establish something. I think they're trying to establish that everybody knew that Keefe D and his nephew had everything to do with this murder. That same night.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You may be seated. May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
James McDonald. JAMES-McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Mr. Paul, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. McDonald, it's fair to say that you're here because of a court order. Is that right?
Correct.
That you didn't volunteer to come or anything like that?
Not at all.
Okay. But you were instructed by a court that you had to attend.
Yes.
So he was subpoenaed to come to court. He didn't want to, y'all. He didn't want to because he's an ex gang member. Look at him. He's an ex fucking gang member. And he ain't trying to tell on nobody.
I want to ask you about September 7th, 1996. Were you at Club 662?
Yes.
What was Club 662?
It was a club that Shield bought and we operated it. When he opened, I was head of security through the neighborhood. Just a place to go and hang out.
Did the number 662 mean anything?
Okay, I got it wrong earlier. 662 is the name of the club. I don't know what I call it. 624 or something. I don't know.
Well, to the new guys, that was part of our neighborhood, 662,
okay.
MOB.
Okay, MOB. And when you say MOB, there used to be, before Apple iPhones and those types of things, when you had to have have landlines and you press numbers. 662, there would be letters under those numbers, and M and O would be under 6. Is that right?
Correct.
And B would be under 2?
Yes.
So 662 would be MOB.
Yes.
Okay. When you talk about Suge, are you talking about Suge Knight?
Yes, sir.
How do you know Suge?
He lived in my neighborhood.
And is that in Compton?
Yes.
When you were at
They were some real Compton City G's.
Club 662, you said you were head of security.
Yes.
Was somebody by the name of Reggie Wright Jr. there with you?
Not at that time.
No?
No.
When was he with you?
I got out of prison in 1988. Suge came and got me in 1988. Like 4 days from coming home. Started another company, Burn Hill Records. Then Death Row Records came. Soon as Death Row was launched, Reggie came a few months after that.
Okay, so we're talking about the start of Death Row Records. Reggie wasn't part of Death Row Records initially, but you were.
Yes.
And then Suge Knight, was he the boss of Death Row Records?
Yes.
Okay. Was Suge from the same neighborhood?
From the mob?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Suge was, he was guilty by association.
Okay.
He wasn't from the neighborhood. He lived in the neighborhood. We looked at him as somebody from the neighborhood. When he started Death Row and started to recruit us, then yes, he's from the hood.
So I guess there's a difference between living on a certain street versus being from the hood.
Yeah.
And how would you describe that difference?
I look at it, you have three different type of friends in the neighborhood. You got gang members, you got gang bangers, and you got men that just guilty by association from living in that area.
Okay. And can you tell me what the difference between a gang member and a gang banger is?
A gang member hangs out. A gang banger handles his business, put in work, do what the gang do.
And what was your role with Death Row?
I was the guy that if something happened, she would have you take care of that.
So basically, he's claimed that he don't say certain things. He's not a snitch. He's not none of that, right? But he's basically dry snitching on everything that they did and done right now. Now, I know he's older and everything like that, but, you know, back in those days, this is why the case never got resolved. Because nobody wanted to nobody wanted to talk. So a lot of lives got taken just because, including an 11-year-old girl, they said, just because of all of this chaos that happened from one night. But there's more because they say Puff Daddy is the one that actually ordered this hit.
Like Snoop Dogg trial, there was issues up there. I was sent up there to make sure those problems didn't happen again.
And are those problems, and I'm not asking you to get into specifics, but are those problems meaning issues with other people who might be gangbanging or might be trying to threaten folks?
Correct. Yes.
And you are somebody that Suge relied on to be able to protect his roster of music artists and other things like that.
Correct.
And after you were asked to help out with Snoop, did Snoop have any other problems?
No, we didn't have one issue at court.
Now, I'm going to ask you, fast forward a little bit to, were you familiar with the Southside Compton Crips?
Yes.
Would you say they were somebody you were in alliance with or a rivalry with?
Right.
Okay. And would sometimes that rivalry get violent?
Anytime you're dealing with the gang life, it's going to be violence at any given time.
Are you familiar with somebody by the name that went by the name of Tupac Shakur?
Yes.
How are you familiar with Tupac?
He was assigned to death row.
And when he was signed with Death Row, would he also hang out with you guys?
He hung with my brother now. Yeah. Not me.
Who is your brother?
Alton McDonald, Buntry Ave.
Did he went by Buntry?
Yeah.
Now, during this time, is it fair to say that Mr. Shakur had an issue with rappers from the East Coast?
I think Tupac inherited the beef between Suge Knight and Puffy.
Okay, that was your perspective of it.
That's all it was. And we all fell. Some of us fell victim to it because we allowed ourselves to be a part of the BS, should I say. And that was a situation between record companies, not gangs. So technically it wasn't our business. But when you had 20 men just fresh out of prison and didn't have a way of getting the things they wanted, getting a paycheck from Suge, we did almost anything and everything to get that paycheck.
Now, was there another gang that was associated with Bad Boy Records, the East Coast record company that Puffy had?
The only one I know of is Southside.
And did that escalate the tension between Mob Piru and Southside?
At the time, there was no at war, it was peace. And when the two record companies got into it, Bad Boy went to Keepy D now, and Suge came to us. So that intertwined everything, and we had issues.
Okay, so he is confirming that's also probably why they got him up here. It's because he's confirming that Puff Daddy's record label and Suge Knight's record label had issues with each other, and it was gang affiliated because I feel like Puffy had that's what Keefy D and all them over there was. They was ratting for him.
Do you recall any instances that you were at where there were issues? Those issues manifested itself in terms of violence.
Are you serious? Don't ask me that right here. I can't say that on both sides. When each neighborhood met each other.
Wait a minute, what did he say?
There could have been
a difference between living on a certain the murder of Tupac Shakur.
Impossible.
I mean, and I say that itself in terms of violence.
Are you serious?
He said you what? Wait a minute. I did hear it earlier, but I forgot what he said. He's funny. This guy's funny.
Was there another gang that was associated with Bad Boy Records, the East Coast record company that Puffy had?
The only one I know of is Southside.
And did that escalate the tension between Mob Piru and Southside?
At the time, there was no at war, it was peace. And when the two record companies got into it, Bad Boy went to Keepy D now, and Suge came to us. So that intertwined everything, and we had issues.
Do you recall any instances that you were at where there were those issues manifested itself in terms of violence?
Are you serious? Don't ask me that right here. I can't say that on both sides. When each neighborhood met each other, there was a lot of tension. I'd say that.
Okay. Now I want to talk a little bit about September 7th, 1996.
Mhm.
Were you in Las Vegas on September 7th of 1996?
Yes.
Why were you in Las Vegas?
To run the security at 662, we were having issues with individuals that said that they were coming for whatever reason they was coming for and to come to 662. My job was to not let that happen.
Similar to the kind of security you were asked to apply in the whole Snoop Dogg situation.
It didn't have nothing to do with Snoop Dogg. It was everybody came. Well, Suge and Bunch and them, his entourage, everybody went for the fight. My job and all of my people were there to make sure nothing funny happened at 662. So we were the fall guys. So if something happened, we was the one that's gonna go to jail for it. Prepared to do that. So nobody else was gonna come up there and disrupt it in that manner. But if anybody remember that night, it was so many Metro and everybody there. No, neither side could have did it.
Hey guys, so he was forced to come out here on his own. He my husband was just asking me the same question. He was not forced but subpoenaed.
So it was calm, it was peaceful.
So when you say there's so much Metro there, you're talking about so much Metro at Club 662?
It was police all over the place.
Now you said you were there to be on the lookout for something. What were you?
Be on the lookout. He said he
said I was on the lookout.
Look out for
nothing. I apologize. You were there. You were there in order to ensure there weren't any problems. Is that fair?
To make sure everything was good.
And because you had heard there might be some issues.
Right.
And what were the issues that you were concerned about?
Individuals coming up there creating an issue we was having with different sides of from with Crips, period.
Yeah. So you were worried about Crips. Not worried. So I'm sorry. You were there providing security to ensure that Crips did not initiate any violence at Club 662.
Not just Crips, that nothing would happen.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. And then when you were there, was Reggie Wright Jr. with you that night at September 7th, 1996 at Club 662?
Yes.
What was Reggie doing there?
See, this old man is still on some gangster shit, yo. Why just listen to him, watch him.
Reggie's job was to watch me and make sure I don't get in trouble. Everybody knew how I was. So
see, Reggie was a police, so he's supposed to be watching. They're alleging that Reggie didn't have any guns or anything that night, and he's going to testify next. But they said he was a part of the plan of Tupac getting killed because him or none of his security had none of the guns, and they didn't take Tupac or nothing or do nothing or help him.
Reggie, everybody else went to the fights. Reggie was there to watch me with the people that was there.
And I'm guessing that you were not the only person there making sure there wasn't any problems at Club 662.
I'm positive it was 30, 40 Pyrus there.
And
he said it was 30, 40 Pyrus there. So he's admitting that, they had the gang members there.
And again,
they were the security, but they were all waiting for them to come to the club.
And that was to make sure that there wasn't any violence that occurred at Club 662.
Right.
When at some point that night, do you learn that Tupac or Suge had been shot?
That night, yes.
Can you tell me how you learned about that?
Well, people was coming back and was explaining that Tupac and Suge just got shot. Everybody was in a uproar. A lot of people started leaving, trying to get over there on Cobalt. We couldn't leave because we getting paid to do this here.
Yeah, they was paid to stay at the they were paid to be at the club. That was their job. They have to do what they supposed to be doing.
It wasn't too long after people started coming back, like Heron came back and went to the hospital. The majority of the people was leaving and then coming back because that night they said Tupac was going to be all right. And even Suge came back. with a little bandage on his head.
Damn,
And,
Suge came back to the club after all of this, and he came back with a little bandage on his head. That's what he's saying, and that they said that Tupac's going to be okay because Tupac was still alive at that point. He just was in probably critical condition.
We thought everything was good. People kept partying.
So, and when Suge came back, you said he had a bandage on his head, but
I mean, the dude said he got shot, but he was
That
great.
dude said he got shot. See, I think he's trying kind of dry snitching on Suge a little bit too. I feel like he was trying to help Keefe D in this situation because he kept on saying, even though he don't like Keefe D, he kept saying, "I'm not trying to make this dude go to jail."
He's a little scarred, but nothing penetrated.
some people would describe being shot in the head even
Well,
slightly.
he described it as that. I mean,
Yeah.
he's wrong.
All right. So when you find out, well, let me ask you this: was Reggie with you when you found out that Tupac and Suge were shot?
Yes.
And did it appear to you in any way that Reggie Wright Jr. was coordinating the murder of Tupac Shakur?
Impossible.
I mean, and I say this because you're aware that there have been some conspiracy theories that Reggie Wright Jr. is responsible for the murder of Tupac.
And it's so not true. His father was implicated, and his father had something to do with it. Reggie Wright used to be a police officer. And here again, I've been knowing Reggie Wright over 50 years. His daddy, as a police officer, patrolling my neighborhood. He done took me to jail many times when I messed up. If Reggie killed Tupac, then death row is over with. Tupac was the money source. Tupac was that guy at death row. So Reggie would have had a problem if he would have did that. And Suge, I truly believe Suge would have opened his mouth if Reggie betrayed him like that. So people say what they want to say.
After that night, do you stick around in Las Vegas or do you go back to Compton?
Well, I stayed in Vegas and we left that morning because we knew we was gonna have neighborhood issues, and everybody left and went back to Compton.
Why were you thinking you might have neighborhood issues?
Well, you asking me some.
This is where he started talking crazy. He's like, you asking me some wild questions.
The issues that we was having was heated, and Compton was on fire at the time, and things were happening.
Basically, what he's saying is because all this happened, they knew they had to get back to where their post was over there in Compton because it was about to go down. Okay, since Tupac got killed, they knew it was about to go down. It was a war for like about 2 weeks, I heard.
And
a lot of people got killed, even an 11-year-old girl.
Me personally, staying in Vegas wasn't worth it. That man in the hospital, it's time to go and protect your home front and be prepared for whatever happened there. You know what I'm saying? Like the other side was being prepared and was prepared to do things because
they started a whole out war because of this. Now, Keefe D, it probably amped the situation that his nephew got beat up that night, but they say that Puff Daddy organized this whole thing, and basically he was paying $1 million for both of their heads. They only got one, but for both of them, it was $1 million hit on both of them.
Orlando got beat up in there, and that's something you don't tolerate. So you was gonna get some.
So Puffy's out there causing wars out in a town that he's not even from.
Repercussion from that and everything else that was going on. So
allegedly, because we gotta wait until this trial's over. But I'm just going by the facts of what they said.
Living this life, you gotta be ready. If you not, you might as well just lay down.
Now, You weren't there for the beating of Orlando Anderson at the MGM, were you?
No, I was.
Yeah, like we talked earlier, you were at 662.
Yeah.
But are you aware of why Orlando was targeted?
I'm aware of a lot of things. Things that was going on. People ain't talked about it in 30 years. Today ain't one of them.
I know that's right. You hear him? He said, I'm aware of a lot of things. People ain't talked about it in 30 years, and today is not one of them. So he's not going to talk about why that boy got stomped down in the MGM studio. Now, there was a reason. He said he know what the reason is.
I don't mean to be funny,
He think it's funny because he know what the hell the reason is, but he don't want to tell them because he's gang affiliated still and he's old as hell. But basically, he's sitting here telling everything anyway.
Here's the thing. A lot of things happened that night.
You already talked about your gang and all this. You didn't say any names. You did not. But at the end of the day, come on now. Don't nobody care. We're just trying to solve a murder case. These people are dead at this point. Only person that's alive is Keefe D and y'all motherfuckers and Suge Knight and Reggie and a few of y'all.
A lot of things happened weeks and weeks after that night. Me or anybody else bringing up the dead is wrong. A lot of people got hurt behind this situation in itself. Living the life and how we lived in Compton is one thing. You bring back all of the guys that made it, like me, I'm 61 years old now, to rehash and relive this situation again. I told every attorney in here that tried to get me to come here, you better treat me as a hostile witness. And I think that's where I'm about to go now, because you're asking me questions. I can't answer those questions.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Then I'm not going to speak on Orlando. Let me ask you something about yourself. There was a rumor that Tupac had knocked you out one time.
I'd have killed him.
He said, I would have killed them. He said there was a rumor that Tupac knocked you out one time. He said, I would have unalived him right then and there. See, he provoked him to say something that he shouldn't have even have said.
That would have been your response if that happened.
Yeah, I'm being honest with you and everybody else. I said it on my podcast show. Him, Suge, and my brother. I'd have shot all three of them if he touched me. That's how I was.
So there must be a rumor that he hit him before. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know. I'm going to have to investigate this. But there must have been a rumor because that man wouldn't have said anything like that unless he was just trying to provoke him.
Why is that?
That's what I was back then.
And so is it fair to say that your reputation and your standing in the neighborhood would require you to do something if you're going to get punked by somebody like Tupac?
You don't have a choice.
Okay, so he just landed a good point. He said, I heard that Tupac was going that punched you. And he said, I would have murdered him. And he said, I would have murdered all three of them, including what's his name? His boss or whatever, Suge Knight. But when he asked him before that, what he asked him was, do you know why the boy got beat up that night? And he said, I do know, but I'm not going to say nothing. But at the end of the day, the point that he's trying to land is since he got embarrassed in that club and at the fight, getting beat up and all that other stuff, he went and retaliated against Tupac because of that reason.
Or you can't be there.
I'm sorry. We're just a side talking. No, that's my fault. I asked, would that being in the life that you were, if somebody like Tupac is punking you, like by punching you in the face or something like that, you would have to retaliate or you would lose your place in the neighborhood.
You would have to go back home and fight everybody that called you a punk.
Yeah, so he would have had to handle that situation right then and there. Win, lose or draw, they would have pulled their guns out, and whoever hit first is the one. Okay, because if he wouldn't have never, if he would have let them punk him like that and slap him around, then he would have had to go back to his neighborhood and get beat up by everyone.
You would have to go. There's some rules that you roll with, and some rules you just gotta handle. Certain things need to be dealt with, adjusted, living that life. And when I was living that life, it wasn't no ifs, ands, or buts. It wasn't no, oh, you get a pass. No, I was shot him, to be honest.
So then you had mentioned, I'm not going to ask you to go into any specifics, but you had mentioned that after what happened here in Las Vegas, there were issues between the neighborhoods. How long did that last? Was it like, all right, one day we're good, everything's done, or did it last for longer than that?
No, it was tension in the air for quite a long time, until I guess both sides, and he might agree, just said, let that shit go. Because it really wasn't our beef. This was between Suge Knight and Keepy D. And people put themselves in situations like myself. I'm guilty as everybody
See
else.
how he just
Like myself,
he basically is telling what's going on, because he said this is his beef between Keefy D and Suge Knight. So he's telling in so many words, for real, but not telling at the same time. So he thinks, okay? Because everybody can read between the fucking lines, okay?
The situation.
He just said it was their beef. So that means that y'all knew that this was a problem at that time. Y'all knew that Keefy D had something to do with this. It was never a fucking mystery.
To protect something and somebody that didn't have nothing to do with me. I did it for a paycheck. I did it on some just because. I'm older now. I get it. But we did things for all the wrong reasons at that time, in them days.
Of course, indulge.
The prosecution has been phenomenal. They have been phenomenal.
Your Honor, State will pass the witness.
Okay. Cross-examination, Mr. Sims.
Sir, have you ever met me?
Excuse me?
Have you ever met me before?
No.
Have you ever spoken to the district attorneys prior to your testimony here today?
Once.
And is that what you're referring to as the time that you told them, like, hey, any attorney here is better treat me as hostile because...
Yeah, I told him I didn't have nothing to do with it.
Now, a couple questions for you, sir. And this is more for clarification. So on the night of the murder, you were working as the head of security for 662.
Yes.
Explain for us a little bit about the club. Was that Suge's club or was it somebody else's club?
Sure, to my understanding.
Okay. And when you were there as head of security, were you there? Had you worked there as head of security prior to this particular night?
We did an event there once before. Yeah, same thing.
Okay. And on this particular night, was this an event like some type of fundraiser or something for police officers or anything like that? Do you recall what the event was for?
We wouldn't have been there.
Okay.
No.
What was the reason for the event?
It was Mike Tyson fight. Tyson was coming back. Tupac was supposed to perform like other people, and we was there for that.
Okay. Can you describe for us how big the club is so that we can...
30 years ago, a little bit bigger than this room.
So it's relatively, it's not like a 2-story. It's
small.
All right. And in terms of the club itself, you were there and you're sure.
I'm not gonna lie, parts of this I fell asleep. So literally some of that stuff at the beginning I didn't get to see, but I did see most of the parts. Just about everything, especially him. He was very he said a lot.
There were other people that were there.
Yeah.
Law enforcement as well as I don't know, people from your side of town?
Oh, law enforcement was outside. The Metro was, why y'all put words in my mouth?
Sure.
They were outside.
Okay.
We were on the inside. Wasn't no law enforcement mingling with us.
So as far as you know, law enforcement wasn't hired by Reggie Wright to provide additional security?
No,
at
this was
Club
Metro
662?
posted up all over the place.
And so they were there specifically just like what, harass or just send a warning or what?
No, they were there. Like when you have events in Las Vegas, everybody knows. You're going to see Metro here, every block.
Yeah.
They was posted up, which they do all the time.
But you're telling me that as head of security, you do not know or you don't believe that Reggie Wright hired the Metro officers to come
I know
in?
for a fact he didn't hire the Metro police.
Okay. Do you know how many people were on the payroll that night from your security team?
Well, y'all do paperwork different than we did. Our paperwork was getting cash money. Our paperwork was.
The way he's saying that they got paid under the table, okay? They got paid straight out to go to to go be security. No, they don't have no paperwork.
They call under the table. We had at least 30, 40 of my homeboys there. It was tension in the air for quite a long time. And people that went to the scene and everybody said Tupac was talking. So everybody came back to the club saying he's gonna be all right. So people just went back to, mingling.
Right. Now, in terms of the that night, you go back to Compton. You live in Compton.
Yes.
You still live in Compton?
No.
At the time you live in Compton, you go back to Compton and you tell us that
He said no, quick as hell.
there was a lot of tension. Can you describe that for us when you went back in terms of what kind of tension we're talking about?
You sure you want me to answer that?
Is it going to be graphic?
No, I ain't gonna. I got to raise the word in it, but you asking me a question. I don't. And what I explained to them, I don't want to send him to prison.
Sure.
Even said he don't want to send him to prison. He don't want to send Keefe D to prison, even though that was a rival. He don't want to send him to prison because he don't want to snitch on him and tell what really happened. But basically, he literally told what happened.
No, we don't like each other.
Sure.
I don't want to send you to prison. So that's why I'm here where I'm at and where I am, because I changed my life. I'm raising my grandkids, teaching them never to be like their papa. And here I am explaining to people what I used to be. And I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of that at all. And you asking me questions that can hurt him. And I told them.
The truth is the lawyer don't give a damn about what he's talking about. But he does. He don't want his grandkids to know all the shit that he was into before. How many labs he took. Because he's a regular law-abiding citizen right now. And people can change. Okay? So he don't want to see this man go to prison. But the man want to see himself go to prison. He's the one that was running his motherfucking mouth.
Trying to avoid to answer the questions that they might look at me and say, something is wrong.
Well, let me put it this way. Let me help you out with this.
Okay.
So these people right here, what they want to know from you is, did you see who shot Tupac?
I told you no.
Correct. So outside of that question, right? The next question I'm asking you is, when you went back to Compton, was it like a Southside Crip that shoots a Pyru Blood, and then a Pyru Blood shoots a Southside Crip? Is that the tension that we're talking about?
Do I answer this?
That's a straightforward question. It's a yes or no answer.
Okay.
Did you see that?
When I was a part of that life, I was a part of that. And I was, no, because you asking something that's gonna hurt this dude. And okay, let me stop.
And once again, I want to emphasize.
When we got back to Compton.
Just answer the goddamn question. Who cared if you hurt the dude or not? You already hurted him. Because we already can convert from all this that basically y'all knew the Keith D had something to do with it. Remember, you said that was their beef. Remember?
Okay. It was a gang war. People were getting hurt.
Okay.
People was being sought. People were looking for certain individuals from his neighborhood,
Okay.
as well they did mine.
Okay.
But Orlando, him, and certain other people were being sought because people wanted to kill them.
Sure. Were they the only ones that they wanted to kill?
Am I the only one up in here? No, they weren't the only one.
Okay.
It's his neighborhood in particular.
That's right.
But they were the main subjects of a gang war. They was in the middle, such as me.
So you're telling us that people back home somehow had some type of information that said that that guy, as a bunch of other people, were involved in what?
In the murder of Tupac.
Okay, but my question to you, stop. Can you focus on me for a second, sir?
Yeah, I will.
Look
I don't-
at Keithy. Keithy don't give a fuck. He knows that is going to jail.
And what I explained to them, I don't want to send him to prison.
Sure.
Even though we don't like each other.
Sure.
I don't want to send you to prison. So that's why I'm here where I'm at and the way I am. Because I've changed my life.
Okay, we already watched this, but I just wanted to see him again say,
Subpoena back in California
Yes.
by a police officer.
I don't know, he wasn't in uniform.
Okay. And that order required you to go to a court in California.
I had to go to court in Victorville.
And then that court in California said you have to show up here.
And in that court, I cussed them out and told them, you can't make me do nothing.
Right.
And in that court, they told me that I would be in attempted court. Me raising my grandkids, I'm not going to put my grandkids in the car and move somewhere so y'all can't find me. So all that running and living a different life, I ain't doing it. So I agreed to come. And I explained to everybody in here, you ask me something, I'm gonna be honest about. You ask me something I don't want to talk about, you're gonna have a problem. Treat me as a hostile witness. You're not gonna talk to me and tell me as a grown man what I have to do up here. I'm not gonna send him to prison. You are.
well, just say you plead the fifth or something.
So the accusation now is because
Are you in trouble for something? Were you a snitch before too? I mean, I don't understand why you can't say you don't want to answer.
we're trying to ask you
Say that.
questions. You're blaming it on me.
You asking me questions. If I just answer your questions, we gonna have a problem.
Just say you don't fucking know. Like
In here, a misunderstanding. And you're asking me something that wouldn't be good for him.
Right. And once again, I just want to look. We're just trying to figure out who shot Tupac. You're telling us that you were there to see. That's all I want to know. At the end of the day, that's it. Right?
Was I in the entourage when Tupac got shot? No.
Okay. Nothing else, right?
I was at 62. I mean, that ain't hard. That's easy math.
No further questions, Joe.
Anything further, State?
Jesus.
All right, we've got one more phase and then we'll let you out of here.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions for this witness? Seeing no hands. Oh, we do have.
they do got a question, and the question is significant. I would have probably wanted to know this question as well.
One. Okay, hang on one second. All right, I have a question for you from one of our jurors, if you can answer it. Did Reggie Wright Jr. instruct security to not have firearms the night of the fight?
To be honest, I don't know if Reggie Wright told his people or the police officers not to have guns, and I don't know why. He sure didn't tell us because we had ours. And that's the honest truth.
All right.
I like that judge. She seems fair, and she seems like she's she thinks this is funny. Okay, she was probably a baby, not even born when this shit happened.
Any follow-up based on that state?
No, Your Honor.
Defense.
I just want to clarify what the witnesses said. You're telling us that you had guns that night?
Yeah.
I just want to know. But you had guns that night, right?
Yes, we did.
All right.
Okay, so he told on herself they had guns, probably wasn't supposed to have none because he said he'd been arrested several times from Reggie Wright's daddy. Okay, so you know that they ain't supposed to be having no guns. So
Thank you.
All right. I know you didn't want to be here, but thank you for coming back.
Okay, can I say something? I want to apologize to everybody, but I find this kind of funny. And truthfully, what you're going through, brother, is what you're going through. I didn't want to be a part of that, and I'm not a part of that. So
oh yes, you are. Yes, the fuck you is. We ain't gonna forget your ass neither.
I appreciate everything, and I apologize to all of you guys.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McDonald. You are free to go. State's next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. State's calling Reggie Wright Jr.
I never seen no courtroom that let you say whatever you want. Like he be saying some crazy. He didn't even answer none of the questions. He just said whatever he wanted to say. Look at his stupid ass. He's stupid as hell. All right. I'm gonna rewind this because we're gonna go to Reggie. Reggie's ass is in the scooter. He can't walk or none of that shit. Okay. Here he is. He come on right away. So. Here he comes.
All right. Jordan's investigating the burning smell. Anyone like smelling that? The burning smell? Maybe. If anybody's smelling something burning, it's a burnt vape.
Okay.
At the recording studio.
Let me take a step back. As part of your role as a police officer in Compton, were you familiar with the different neighborhoods and the members of different neighborhoods?
Yes, sir.
So before this, he explained how he became a police officer. His dad's a police officer, and he was one until 1996. I'm gonna go back and let him explain that because I may have got something wrong.
Just extra money on the side for off duty.
Compton PD wasn't paying good?
Guess I was really young and greedy.
Yeah.
No, basically he was a corrupted cop.
And then at some point you said one of the jobs that you had was moonlighting for Death Row. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And can you tell us what Death Row is?
Death Row Records is a record company that was based out of Beverly Hills, California. And yeah.
And who ran Death Row Records at that time?
A gentleman that I actually grew up with at elementary school, junior high, and high school by the name of Marion Suge Knight.
And when you say Suge, is that what he would go by?
I call him Suge.
So after you retired, did you, well, actually, let me take a step back. As part of your role as a police officer in Compton, were you familiar with the different neighborhoods and the members of different neighborhoods?
Yes, sir.
Was that part of your job to know what areas were associated with what gangs?
Pretty much a job. And like I said, I started in like 1985, so kind of got familiar while I was working the jail. And it was something that was curious to me, being that my father was active with the gangs, and it was something that was intriguing to me as well.
So when you said you grew up with Suge, did you grow up in the same neighborhood that Suge grew up in?
Yes, about 2 blocks away.
Was that considered Mob Piru territory?
That's correct, sir.
So when you were growing up, were you familiar with the Mob Piru?
They came on eventually later. It was really a Luther's Park, Piru area. But then, I guess when I was about in the 7th grade, which would have been like 1978, maybe a little later, 80, they started calling themselves the Mob Piru.
So they were Looters Park, Piru before, and then they transitioned to being called Mob Piru.
Yeah, we pretty much divided it, everything south of Rosecrans was Mob, and everything north was, or the other way around. North was Mob, and south was Looters area of Rosecrans Avenue.
Were you familiar with a gang called the Southside Compton Crips?
Yes, sir.
How were you familiar with the Southside Compton Crips?
Well, growing up in the city of Compton, we all played sports together and heard of them when I was playing at Kelly Park, baseball, Little League baseball at Compton Northern. And then my time in
You look like a land criminal.
85 as a jailer, and then working the.
Like I don't know. I don't know him to be that. I'm trying to figure out what they're trying to get out of him that he didn't have nothing to do with the murder.
Well,
and they're trying to figure out why he didn't have his guns and all that stuff on him, because he's implicated as well, because he was supposed to be protecting Tupac. He was the protection. Remember the other gang members, Piru, Mob, were all at 6 the club. Okay. They were over there waiting for them to arrive, but that arrival never happened, even though they said Suge Knight came back and started partying later on with a bandage on his head.
Insecurity as well, maybe different than your role in security. Were you aware of James McDonald being there at the club?
Yeah, James was a headache for my security. They hated him. But he and I, we've been knowing each other for 52 years, you know. So, I mean, that was like my brother. So he, James used to do it as a hustle. What James would do is go outside, get guys that look like they had a bunch of money, and bring them to the front of the line. And that drove my security crazy, but James was just out there working the door. Suge gonna have a bunch of his homeboys to come and be on the lookout, you know, still, you know, blood related, Piru related, to be around. But James was mainly doing a little side hustle.
Now, in terms of as the person in charge,
So basically, he's trying to say James wasn't nobody. He was just middleman and everything.
or the person contracted to be in charge of death row security, were you aware that Tupac Shakur was going to come?
I'm starting to think James got punched in the face for real. I'm thinking that James got punched in the face. Now, he was over there dry snitching and all that other shit. Something is strange about him. He was a good character in the trial today. He was funny.
To the fight on September 7th, 1996.
Definitely the plan. That was definitely the plan, and there was a reason that I knew he had to come, but that was definitely the plan.
Okay, well, tell us the reason why he had to come.
So we, Mr. Khalees, who he had something worked out, because that's why we had off-duty police officers. I don't know if they were off-duty. They were in uniform, so I don't know if they was working off-duty or they were on duty. But we had, my guys were responsible from the door inside, where the police officers were responsible for the door and the street, traffic control, and the parking lot. And so I guess how they got that approved was
well, if you're guessing,
okay.
I don't want you to guess. Were you the person responsible for whatever event control or?
Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you think that what did you think the line of questioning towards the guy McDonald was leading to? Did you think that they were just trying to find out if he knew Keefe D had something to do with it, or what? How do you feel? And as far as Reggie, the one that's on the stand right now, do you think that he altered the situation? They're saying that he didn't have any guns or anything on him, and he was a licensed professional police officer, and he worked for Suge Knight, and he didn't have any weapons on him that night, and he was supposed to be protecting Tupac on the biggest night of all, because it's the fight night.
Or traffic control that the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department did.
No, sir.
Were you the point of contact?
I was the point of contact for the club, yes.
Yeah, but you're the point of contact for the club. And then the person, is it fair to say that the person dealing with whatever traffic control or event control or population control, whatever it was that the attorney, George Glases?
He was the one that got them there.
Okay.
Made the call to get them there.
Okay. So you weren't the one that called Metro?
No, sir.
So anything that you would have said regarding that is just kind of you trying to put the dots together, assuming what that conversation might have been.
And the only reason I say that because I knew we promoted it as a benefit for a retired boxer, for a police or retired. He was a retired police officer that was promoting or had something to do with boxing for youth or something like that.
So that kind of is adding to the P's and Q's that make Mr. Knight look better when the transfer of when they're trying to transfer this club. Hey, we're also holding a benefit.
That and also Mr. Shakur was trying to work off some community service hours that he needed. I don't know how they made it happen in LA County.
And so Mr. Shakur was scheduled to perform that night at Club 662. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And so you're telling us that it was your understanding that Mr. Shakur performing at Club 662 at this benefit would help him accumulate hours for community service.
Yes, sir.
So
wow, they had it down packed. I mean, just imagine you're gonna go, and I feel like they felt like they owned Tupac. I really do. He was a subject of literally. This was very tragic, and something ain't right with this situation. I don't know if it's involving Suge Knight. I really believe Suge Knight don't have nothing to do with it, but he did get accused of having something to do with this for a very, very long time.
when was Tupac Shakur supposed to come to Las Vegas?
Well, they always came up on that Saturday. I know that they arrived about 4 p.m. on that Saturday, but if they were scheduled to come out earlier or not, I'm not sure.
And then at some point, who's the security for Tupac that Saturday?
Mr. Alexander, but he was out there with me, getting the town cars and everything. Mr. Shakur actually rode up with, I guess, his fiance and a few members of the Outlaws.
And who are the Outlaws?
The Outlaws is a bunch of people actually, but it's a group of rappers that works with Mr. Shakur that he was trying to help get their careers going.
And was Malcolm Greenidge one of the members of the Outlaws?
Yes, sir.
And I think he goes by the name Edie Amin.
That's correct, sir.
And Qatari Cox, was he one of the members of the Outlaws?
Yes, sir.
And then Afula, and I always get the name wrong, but Mr. Afula, was he also one of the members of the Outlaws?
He was as well.
Okay. And you said
Tupac had his own label, and under him, there's always like Biggie had Junior Mafia, he had the Outlaws. Okay, that's what I can sum it up. I can sum it up like that.
Was the person that's supposed to be working security, or the person assigned for security for Mr. Shakur, but that he was with you. So on Saturday, was anybody with Mr. Shakur?
No, sir.
And you had mentioned earlier that after the song "Hit 'Em Up" had come out, and that was probably 3-4 months before this.
Yeah.
You had assigned 2 security officers to Mr. Shakur.
That's correct.
So where's the other one?
Well, that was Mr. Hackey, Kevin Hackey. He was scheduled to also be attending and writing, and that's what I actually thought was going to be with him, coming up with him, because he normally was with him. You know, him and Mr. Alexander, they kind of worked out who would be with Mr. Shakur. And for some reason, he didn't show up. He now telling me he had a late arrest and he was stuck at the hospital all day dealing with her arrest.
So the fight night arrives. Where are you? Do you go to the fight?
I went to the parking lot of the fight, so it was kind of hectic to get inside, but also got a call from Mr. Giddings, Al Giddings, who was my supervisor at the club, and they was having some logistic problems, some problems there, and I elected to go and get things in order at the club.
So you get to the parking lot at MGM, see it's a little crazy, and decide to head over to Club 662.
That's correct.
And was Club 662, it was on Flamingo, is that right?
1700 block of Flamingo, yes, sir.
Okay. Actually, can I see Exhibit 2? I'm going to publish Exhibit 2, which has already been admitted. All right, actually, Mr. Wright, you're not in a position great for any of this, but there we have, can you see 662 up there?
I don't have my glasses.
No worries.
I'm sorry.
I got you. Commissioner Bush, Honor? Honor, Commissioner Bush?
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Move about the courtroom clearly.
Thank you. You see clubs, there's a red 662 club on this map. You see it?
Yes, sir.
Is that accurately representing what?
All right, I'm gonna scroll through this. I'm sorry. If you want to watch the whole clip, then you can watch it on Court TV, or other people might have clips that's probably relevant. I might have missed something. I don't know, but
Well, that's Mr. Knight, and then that's Mr. Williams.
And then, so you see Mr. Williams, Mr. Knight, Mr. Shakur. Those are the people that are evident to you in this portion of the video. Is that
That's
right?
correct, sir.
And then we have another video of everybody leaving. Can you see that?
I can see it, but
That's fair. That's it. Okay, I'm going to show Mr. Wright 115C.
and Mr. Shakur, Mr. Knight, Buncher, Mr. Williams. I don't see Frank yet. Okay, there you go. Mr. Alexander is the one with no sleeves on his shirt. And he's leading the pack now.
Did you see Trayvon Lane?
they walking fast as hell out of there. Okay, we can go past that. I wonder. Okay, so they took a break. Now they came back.
That Mr. Knight was just trying to stop the fight and not participate in the fight at all.
That was his testimony, yes.
And that was after he received the $60,000.
That part I don't know.
That was after the agreement for the $60,000.
It was an agreement in place, so.
Okay. And then, is it fair to say that the judge disregarded Mr. Anderson's testimony and revoked Mr. Knight's parole?
Objection, excuse leading.
It's the same.
Well, did the judge believe Mr. Anderson's testimony?
So Mr. Knight was subsequently violated for his probation and received 9 years sentence.
And as a result, when Mr. Knight was imprisoned for those 9 years, who was running death row?
After about 4 or 5 minutes of his incarceration, I became the general manager of the company.
We showed the death row.
Okay, I didn't know that.
What do you call that?
A pendant.
Pendant. We show the death row pendant.
I told you I went to sleep. Now they said Tupac's chain was removed from his from him because the police officer testified on the first day yesterday that he had a chain, and that's what he noticed when he first pulled him over the first time when they didn't. He was alive, and then moments. Well, I guess it was I don't remember how that went. Was it right after the fight when they were on their way to the club? Or did they go back and get dressed? I don't know, but they realized that they were on their way to the club, and when he got shot up, his chain was missing.
Can you tell us about the distribution of death row pendants to various people that were associated with death row?
Mainly the artists received them, and then people close associates of Mr. Knight. They were given out to different people for Christmas presents of 1995. Yes.
Were you aware of whether or not Trayvon Lane had received a death row pendant?
He was one, yes, sir.
And is it typically wore on a chain around one's neck?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, Mr. Stamp, cross-examination.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, have you and I ever met?
No, sir.
You have a podcast, I believe, right?
YouTube channel that I talk on.
He be talking shit on him on a YouTube channel.
I'm sure you're probably anticipating the next question. In your YouTube channel, you have spoken a little bit about me, for instance, right?
That's correct. And you have spoke about me as well.
Yeah. So in terms of your podcast or YouTube channel, and once again, I don't think it was anything derogatory. It's more like you never tried a criminal case, or I think Hollywood ass attorney. I think you had said something like that, right?
Well, yeah, I did about 10 interviews in the last 2 months, so I may have said something like that.
Now, in terms of your podcast stuff, it's very. This pretty good point. At some point, you had actually instructed Keith that hey, he can actually make money doing the YouTube stuff. Remember that?
It didn't go quite like that, but I did pass his number to a few YouTube channels after he and I had this discussion about doing something on my channel, but I refused to pay him because I'm not giving someone I believe is Tupac Killer money.
Sure. You had a interview with a Mr. Mogg. Do you remember that?
Detective Mogg, yes, sir.
Was he a detective at the time?
He was.
Okay, so he's a detective at the time, and he sat down with you, and you had a conversation with him, and you basically told him that you had advised KPD about I don't know, how much you can get paid doing YouTube stuff. You remember that?
I don't remember that, no.
Now, you don't remember that, or you don't believe that?
I remember Kevin Coffey, but to say you can make $5,000 or $10,000, I didn't have any conversation like that with Detective Mogg.
Okay, so you don't know or you don't remember. I just want to make sure we're different here.
I remember meeting with Detective Mogg. I know I am the one that started passing Mr. Davis' number around to do more interviews to get him to talk. Yes.
Okay, so when you volunteered to Detective Mogg, KPD's number, you said, I set him up with a couple of interviews.
Correct.
And because I promised you, if y'all ever listen, I promised him I would. You know, we talk bad about each other, but you know, I'll hook you up. I'm kind of know all these YouTubers out here, and so
He set his ass up so he could tell on himself.
So I kind of hook people up with them. Quote, you want to make some money? N-word, unquote. And then question was asked by Detective Mogg. So what do you get paid for your interviews? And you respond, oh, I get about $2,500, $3,000 a show. You remember that?
That's accurate, so I might have said that.
Now you also said 5,000. I got my F. He was crying about his taxes. You were referring to Keefe in that, right? He was crying about his taxes, Keefe?
Not sure.
I got him about to go blast him next week. He's getting 3,500. So they pay you because they get views. they get paid, man. YouTube, every million views you get about 6,000 to 10,000. And then
That's the channel,
okay.
not the person.
And then once again, I'm talking about the YouTuber. And so if you do a bunch of them and you get 100,000 and they break them up into like 5 or 10-minute segments, and you can get a 15-second segments from me and you get 200,000 people to view it, you can make $8,000 to $10,000 off of me. And you just gave me 2,500, 3,000. You remember saying that to Detective Mock?
I'm sure those sound like accurate statements, so
It's
I'm sure I did.
And once again, it's clear to show that there's a business with YouTube, right?
That's correct, sir.
And so when you post something online, you're posting it online with the hopes that you're going to get paid for that.
Yeah, and that didn't start until about 2021.
Sure.
Or 2020, yeah, after COVID. Yes.
Now, with regards to your role here, you were the head of security for Suge Knight.
Correct.
And I want to make sure I'm clear. Where did you grow up in Compton?
I mean, my address is 1628 East Pine Street, Compton, California.
Where's that at in terms of, because we're assuming, and you could tell this jury otherwise, that wherever you grew up or whatever your street was, you by default was part of a certain gang or color.
I never gangbanged. Always wanted to be a police officer growing up. However, guys that I grew up with, was in the sandbox with, played sports with, yeah, they were Mob Pyro's affiliate.
Okay.
Some police officers, some football players,
Right.
several type of people grew up in our community.
And at some point, you get yourself out of it. You become a police officer.
I never was in it.
Okay. All right. Thank you for correcting me. You become a police officer for about 5 years.
90 to 96, 6 years. Yeah.
6 years, and you have to retire medically.
Correct.
And you had shared with us earlier that you created this security company. You were moonlighting, sort of doing your job during the day and then doing this other side hustle at night.
That's accurate.
And that side hustle became your full-time gig when you were no longer a police officer.
That's correct, sir.
And so in terms of who you were, the main service you provided services for would have been Death Row Records.
95%. That's correct, sir.
And in essence, I mean, this was your number one client, right?
I agree with you.
Okay. And you spent a lot of time with Suge.
Eventually that grew, but yes, 94, not as much. 95, 96, yes, sir.
Okay. And you're providing services for Suge in terms of security, right?
For Suge or his company?
For the Death Row label.
That's correct, sir.
And you actually had created a company specifically for the security aspect of it, right?
That's fair.
And that's the right
way protective services.
Protective services. Okay. Now, as you're going about doing that, you had shared with us a little bit about some of the things you had done, and you shared with us that hey, there was something that happened at one of the award ceremony. You talked about that, right?
At the Soul Train, that's correct.
And you said that at that Soul Train incident, that my client was present when some other guy flashed a gun or something like that.
That's correct.
It wasn't
your client. No.
Okay. And once again, you're security, you're a former police officer. Did you ever report that incident to police?
They ran. Actually, police detained the subjects outside the gate or towards the gate. What happened to them, I don't know, because I was more interested in getting my clients inside the war show.
And your father, just to correct my memory, is a lieutenant at the time with Compton? Or was he captain?
At that time, a lieutenant, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And his role and what he was responsible for was the gangs in Compton.
That's correct, sir.
So it would have been information he would have maybe picked up or you would have told him?
That's what people get confused about law enforcement. Compton is a city about 8 to 10 miles away from, well, that's by USC is where this incident happened. That's about 20 miles away from Compton. And so Compton PD and LAPD don't share information with each other like people think in law enforcement.
Right, but you're talking about someone who's from Compton. You're saying that guy right there who's from Compton was present at that particular event.
Wasn't a big thing. It was just a guy that brandished a weapon.
Right. So in your mind, it's not about this idea that this is a gang sort of thing. It's just some idiot with a gun flashing the gun, right?
I agree with you.
Okay.
But they were also protecting Bad Boys Records.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that in
Okay.
a second. In terms of your role, though, in your company, you at some point, you obviously are now working with Suge, and there's this idea with Death Row Records that there may be sort of tension in the air. Was there anything going on during that time period prior to September of 1996 that was happening that was telling you, hey, I need to make sure that Death Row Records is protected?
You always had an element because of incidents when you go out to nightclubs, the party scene. It was always an issue.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And because you're dealing with someone like Suge Knight, and at that particular point, any of his other people that was working for him, like say the entertainers, right? You're talking Snoop, you're talking Tupac, that you would have adequate security to protect them, like say from fans and that kind of stuff.
I called it, my cell was to be good witnesses. Mr. Knight had just went through a situation with one of his artists, Snoop Dogg, that was on trial for murder. And they ended up beating the case. But they had got a large judgment, mainly because of the qualifications or the lack of qualifications of the security officer that was acting as security officer that shot him and killed the person. And so when you have a big company like Mr. Knight had, I thought it was best, and he thought it was best, or maybe his attorneys, I don't know, his label, that let's get some professional people around you.
And so for the most part, your practice was to hire people that were either off-duty police officers or retired police officers.
That's correct, sir.
And you did that because they were properly trained and you could trust them in terms of their judgment.
That and my cell was to be a good witness.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
But with regards to their roles obviously at the end of the day were to protect the people that were your clients. That would have been Death Row Records and whoever you assigned them to do.
As best you can.
So in terms of what happens here in Las Vegas, right? Your testimony is you arrive here to Las Vegas and you're here on Friday.
Correct.
And you're here to get ready for what's happening on Saturday.
Friday night, the club did open. Like I said, it wasn't majorly attended, but definitely for Saturday night, yes, sir.
Yeah. And in fact, Tupac and Suge didn't arrive until Saturday anyways.
They didn't come up until Saturday, that's correct, sir.
And they drove up.
They drove up, yes, sir.
So they drove up, you're there, you're working, and you're at 662, right?
I'm at 662, yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to show you here an image. I'm going to ask the clerk to mark as proposed defense exhibit next in order.
See, I think? Yes.
See?
Yep.
May I, John?
You may.
You recognize this?
That's Club 662, yes, sir.
And with regards to, I'm sorry, and with regard to that photograph, would that have been an accurate depiction of 662 around the time period that we're talking about here?
I agree with you, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, Your Honor, at this point, I move for the admission of proposed defense exhibit C.
Any objections?
Okay.
Nope.
So admitted.
May I publish, Your Honor?
You may.
I'll show this to the jury here real quick. So this is a picture of 662. Now, you had shared with us a little bit about what was happening on Saturday night. Attorney basically says, hey, we really want to get this club, I guess, passed in terms of its licensing. Maybe we do something that helps the community, or at least does an outreach. Is that what we're doing?
I think that was mainly to get the police officers there.
So what I'm noticing that there's two different stories. There's a story that they were having some type of convention there for the police officers, is what he's saying. And what the other guy, McDonald, said, well, there wasn't no damn police convention there. I mean, or party or something. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm getting.
From your optic, right?
That is correct.
And you also share with us that there's other people inside of 662 who are patting down the Mob James crew But you can't send any more people over to be there for Tupac?
If I knew there was going to be an issue that eventually happened, of course I would have. I would have asked them to stay in the hotel. If I knew what was going to happen.
You are aware that this was fight night, this was Mike Tyson, and that everyone in the world would show up to Las Vegas to be there for the fight, right?
Yeah.
There are so many people.
Yeah.
And in your opinion, only if you believe that Tupac was somehow going to get into a fight or something along those lines, would you have provided more than just the one person? I'm just asking for your clarification.
I would have had an army around him if I knew something like that was going to happen, or suspect something like that was going to happen. But the gentlemen that were with them, and the ones that you seen kicking on Mr. Anderson, those were security as well.
That was whose security?
Death Row's staff.
But once again, let me make sure I'm clear. You, at this particular point, only have one security guard.
The nigga, you was paid to protect this man, and you're saying that they had their own security, blah, blah, blah. We didn't bring any weapons that night or anything like that because of because we were trying to get clearances for the club, and he's just making up a whole bunch of bullshit at the end of the day.
All these other people from, I don't know, from Death Row Records who are not security guards. They're all gangsters, mob Pyru people.
Yeah, I trust more than I trust my security. Yes.
So more than you would trust cops and off-duty cops and retired cops, you trust those mob Pyru guys?
I do personally.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, after they go in for the fight, right? I'm assuming that Frank Alexander probably didn't have a ticket.
You know, that was always an issue with Mr. Knight.
Yeah.
He promised everybody that they can go to the fight. And when we get to the door, it's always an issue.
Right.
And one thing about him, he will get his, at least Mr. Shakur, one security in, if not both, and myself. He will make sure we got in.
Okay, so they all get in for the fight.
Okay, so some of the security didn't get in for the fight.
And then for some reason, Bruce Seldon takes a phantom punch, falls to the ground in the first round within a minute and 45 seconds, right?
You call it Phantom? If you say so.
I'm just looking at the tape, right? All we got is a syringe. So he falls to the ground, the fight is over. They leave the fight, right?
Hyped up. You see him?
Yeah, and Tupac was very hyped up.
Hyped up.
So did you get a call from Frank Alexander saying, hey, the fight ended early, we're on our way?
Not one. And that's normal.
Okay. And I want to make sure we're clear about the type of communication you had. So cell phones, I'm not sure were available to everybody. You had one.
Pretty much everybody had cell phones, but they were expensive. He called me after 7 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah.
But
He doesn't get it. But everyone else.
but I did have next cell phones. We had about 8 to 10 of them. They did dual jobs. My guys knew it better be emergency to pick up that cell phone.
Yeah.
But the two-way walkie-talkies on the Nextels, you could use them to call. That's how we communicated. On that picture with Buntree, you'll see one hanging out of his pocket. That's what the type of Nextel phones we had.
And so going back again to what Frank has, Frank does have one of those radios.
Yeah, one, but later learned, after we do Monday back quarterbacking and stuff, that it was dead.
So he is there. He doesn't call when you leave the fight. Now, does he call you after the situation happens with Orlando Anderson?
No, sir.
They all rush out, right? They all go back to, I think, to Luxor.
That's correct.
But you don't know that because no one calls you.
Haven't heard anything. Didn't know it was an issue.
So you're still sitting over at 662. You're worried about making sure the club passes inspections, and you're there and you're waiting. In the meantime, people get picked up at the Luxor, and then they're transported all the way to Suge Knight's house.
I mean,
Once again, if you don't know, you can just tell me.
yeah. I just assume
You're not listening.
yeah. I don't know.
Okay. Now, at some point, they're traveling down Flamingo, and the shots occur at that particular point, right? but you don't know.
Correct.
And so you're sitting at the club and you don't know.
I wasn't sitting, but yeah.
Oh, well, whatever. I mean, I'm sure you're working, right? So you're working and your concern is making sure the club passes and that the club passes for Suge Knight. Even though his attorney's present, all these cops are on the outside and you have the security proficiency of Mob James on the inside, right?
And about 25 to 30 of my guys.
And so once again, yes, 20 to 30 of your guys.
Correct, yeah.
Retired police officers or off-duty police officers.
Correct.
And they're all there.
Correct.
And at some point, you get notice that Tupac had been shot, right?
I got notified. Correct.
Was it through the Nextel walkie-talkie stuff?
No, sir.
How did that happen?
Mr. Williams and Mr. McDonald ran up to me and told me.
Okay, none of your people, but two of the people that were associated with the death row people.
Put down drugs.
Okay, and they're the ones who told you that hey, something went down with Tupac.
Correct.
And so at that particular point, what did you do?
Like I said, I didn't believe him at first initially, but we talking seconds now. Mr. Khalees somehow, verified that, yeah, something's going on. And then me observing a few of the police cars that were assigned at the working the parking lot or the taking off license sirens going towards that way made me believe that something's going on.
Now, did Suge Knight ever appear at the club and continue partying that night?
I don't know, but I have heard James say that before. But
what just from your Monday night sitting down with your people going over what should have been done better, was there any conversation or any way that you learned that Suge Knight actually showed up to party the night of the shooting?
The party was over. The party was over. They probably were still there at the club, but it wasn't like no partying going on, especially after people heard what happened. I can see that.
Now, we talked a little bit about the death row chain. Do you recall telling Detective Mogg when he visited with you that you sold your death row chain because of hard times?
I had a platinum one. That's correct.
Okay, so
now
they're trying to establish whether he took what's his name's chain or not. He said he had 2 chains. Now, how he get 2 chains and he ain't even a goddamn orders.
Later on, when you're testifying in the grand jury, you remember doing that?
I still have my gold one, if that's what you asked him.
So when the question is asked in the beginning about your death row chains, you never tell Detective Mogg, for instance, that it's a platinum one, right?
I don't know.
Let me just
tell me.
Wait. The camera's on. You want to turn the camera on?
Oh, sorry. So this would be page 21, counsel, of the surreptitious report or recording. So you say, the question that was asked by Detective Mogg, you were describing the chains as cheap. He said he had asked you, got a $300 chain? Said, yeah, one of those cheap little chains because they were messing around with the same women and they got one and he got mad about it. My presumption.
We're talking about Keefe.
Yes.
Yes.
So what? What did expensive ones look like? Do you have a picture of those? And you said, yes, sir, I can show you the one that Tupac would have. And then the question's asked of you by Detective Mogg, did you ever get one of those chains? And you respond, yeah, I had one. And then the question was, what happened to it? And you said, shit, hard times hit. And Detective Mogg commiserates and says, yeah, I hear you.
So now he's saying he had 2. He had a platinum one or a white gold one and a platinum one and a white gold one or a gold one and a platinum one.
You said, I've got to get rid of it somehow. And then Detective Mogg asked, what did you get for it? And you said, I got about $5,000, right?
Yeah, that was the platinum one. Okay. Or the white gold one. You can watch, and I'm sure you have, several interviews, pictures with me with my gold chain on. I wear them on several YouTube videos.
But fair to say, of course, that, when you said you had one, it's not one gold, it's not one platinum disc, right?
Like I said, the one I sold was the platinum one.
Now, in addition to that, later on, when you're testifying before the grand jury, the question that was asked by one of the jurors was, and I want to make sure I'm clear because I don't want to mess up I want to be accurate with you.
Your Honor, I think this is improper impeachment or refreshing recollection. Not quite sure.
See, he was determined to make him out of a liar because he said he ain't no good attorney. He was talking shit on him on his podcast. Reggie be talking a lot of shit. Now, I'm not real familiar with Reggie. I think I have seen him in interviews and stuff like that. I forgot what he's accused of. And I know that a lot of instances people say he's full of it. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to watch, what's his name said he was subpoenaed as well. I don't know if he'll go on. What's his name? I forgot his name. Oh.
Let me just do this as a refreshing of his recollection, Your Honor. I just didn't want to.
So it's sustained. So I don't know that he said he doesn't remember.
Okay. So let me ask you this. You were asked by a juror.
Again, I think you have to ask the substantive question first to determine whether.
Mr. Bilal, you're gonna have to talk about it because your mic's not.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think you have to.
You approach.
I can stand. I apologize, Your Honor.
Everyone approach.
Okay. All right. So I don't know if they're asking a question, but I'm gonna end this right here. And if you want to watch the rest of this, you can go on to Court TV, or there's so many outlets that are actually streaming this. You can click through Court TV's though, because other people might be doing commentary as well. Okay. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna get off of here. That was day two, sorry. Day two of the trial. It's heating up in this trial, okay? I'm very curious to see who else they're going to have on. I believe that they will call Suge Knight. They probably subpoena him. He's in jail. But if they didn't subpoena him, they might have got him to just testify for a shorter sentence, okay? They can do that. They can do that. They have the power to do that. So I'm not going to be surprised of how this is going to be. I mean, I'm going to be very surprised at the outcome of this, but not surprised at all if Keefe D is found guilty, okay? Because it's not looking good for him at this time. Even though they're just outlining what happened and how it happened and where it happened and when it happened. They're outlining all that for us, but they're also incriminating him as well. They're trying to set the foundation for this whole situation. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 3 of the Tupac murder trial, okay? This is all about Tupac. Forget that man right there. I mean, he has incriminated his own self, okay? And let other people incriminate him as well. But with that being said, I gotta go. So subscribe to my channel, like, comment, and subscribe, and hype me up if you can. Thank you. Have a great night.